After the success that the character had in A Close Shave, Shaun the Sheep was the next big thing for Aardman after Wallace and Gromit. After a few years of throwing ideas around, they made a TV series based off of this beloved little lamb, which eventually led to the movie we're talking about today. The series was a great way of Aardman experimenting with a format that they had fiddled with before, but this time they went all out with it. Silent comedy. The Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton style of vaudeville slapstick that only had the characters speak using noises and vocalization, and it was a great success. I remember watching this show, and while admittedly I would watch things like Batman and Power Rangers more, this was still a great show. It was funny, sweet, with all the fun of the great Aardman charm, and it lasted an impressive 5 series with a spin-off Timmy Time on CBeebies. For those who aren't aware of the show, it focuses around the continuing adventures of Shaun the Sheep, the level-headed cool sheep from A Close Shave, played by Justin Fletcher now, is now the leader of a flock of sheep in a farm, run by the farmer, and that's not me being lazy with not looking up his name, he doesn't actually have one, and he and his flock go out on all sorts of misadventures right under the farmer's nose without him noticing, often resulting in the sometimes antagonist and sometimes ally Blitzer, the farmer's dog, getting roped in to make sure the farmer doesn't find out about the shenanigans that are going on. Simple but enjoyable hijinks. And so we come to the movie, and we definitely go to the next level, or town in this case for this one. Shaun and the flock are getting bored of their repetitive life and they want a break, so they engineer a plan to get the farmer out of the way and do what they feel like. However, it goes tits up, as you'd expect, and the farmer ends up being sent into a nearby town, and through some unfortunately placed balls gets amnesia, so he can't remember who he is or what he does. The sheep naturally get upset about this, and they go into the city to find the farmer and re-jog his memory, all while trying to keep a low profile to avoid the sinister animal control man, A. Trumper, voiced by Omagility. First of all, it's nice to have an Aardman movie that goes back to the simple stories and minimal elements, much like the old Wallace and Gromit shorts, and the fact that the whole movie is made via non-verbal pantomime makes it fit all the better, since a large, grand, epic scale wouldn't have fitted with that motif, much like how The Artist, despite being a very well-made movie, did feel very small in scale, and it fit the style, as it does here, and the animation, while still up to the quality of their most recent films, looks a lot more basic, and it really works, and it made me realise that Aardman really works with being more simple. I love it when they go big, but these more low-key movies do really show off their craft and talent to the best of their ability. Some of the models do look a bit too old school for Aardman though, which does contrast a bit with the more detailed models of the farmer and the pest control guy. In fact, some of them even look like characters from a Will Vinton movie, and as much as I love Will Vinton, I don't ever want to see those two stop-motion worlds collide.
What's your name? Satan.
This movie also feels the most British out of the Aardman movies, with its so much more modern British iconography. It genuinely feels like you're in a town in the UK, with the NHS hospital, the buses, the choices of music, even the references they do, which aren't that many, but the ones they do are very British, and it's great. They do a fantastic job with the expressions in this movie, which is especially impressive since I've always thought that the traditional Aardman models give a very limited range when it comes to showing expressions. But in here, a movie where the expressions are very important, they are very good and very deadpan. Actually, the animation in general is great, and it's lovely to return to the painted backdrops instead of the CGI ones, which is great to see again. And the whole thing feels like an older Aardman project. It reminded me a lot of The Wrong Trousers, especially with the Manchester-like city setting and the scenes where the sheep are leading the farmer around while he's asleep. Also, speaking of The Wrong Trousers, pause that scene where Trumper is looking at the wall of captured animals, and you'll see quite a few familiar faces in there. There are some joke setups that are very predictable, and you can tell exactly what's going to happen from the start, which does make this movie a bit of a slog sometimes, but they do still add some interesting twists here and there, like where the amnesiac farmer goes to a hair salon and has to do some hairdressing, and of course shears him like a sheep, but the guy he cuts the hair for actually does like it, and it leads to a new hairstyle phenomenon. It was predictable, but still funny, and the one character who always made me laugh was the villain, A. Trumper. Omagility is really good as A. Trumper, and yes, I can insert an obvious Donald Trump joke here, but I've done that enough in my videos, so I'll skip that for now. I'm a big fan of the former face of MoneySupermarket.com before they started using disturbingly sexy men and random 80s cartoon characters for their ads, and he does a great job with the vocalizations, and shows that even celebrities who are not used to this style of acting can be very good at it. I was excited to see him in the movie, but also slightly wary since he has got a knack for picking some stinkers in terms of movie movies to be in. But even with that, he often is the highlight in the bad movies he's in. And here, while the movie itself is still great, that's still no exception, and he's a great villain. He has his comedic elements, but he's very intimidating, especially near the end where he gets legitimately scary, Cape Fear style. Speaking of which, while the climax does feel more toned down to some of Aardman's former films, it's still a very tense final bout, especially since the characters rarely get into mortal peril in the TV show, so to see the stakes raised from the show and done effectively is a great turn. Overall, while I admittedly dismissed this movie when it came out since I thought it was just going to be a bigger budget version of the TV series, which it basically is, I see now that it's perfect for this movie, and even more so for the Aardman library. I don't know if I'd say it's my new favourite for me, but it's definitely a real treat, and so gleefully simple and charming. Definitely check it out, or at least you could have if they didn't take it from Netflix for no reason, even though most of the other Aardman movies are still on there. Thanks for that, by the way. That made trying to find this movie for the sake of this review really easy and fun. Man, Netflix can be annoying sometimes.